Welcome back to the Evolve podcast. I'm Rhiannon.
And I'm your better host, Brendan.
All right, we'll leave it at that. But for now, pretty much what this podcast is all about is self-development, health and fitness, and our journey starting as brand new business owners.
Let's go. Make sure that you share this around because I'm telling you right now, this is the best podcast you've ever seen.
Enjoy, guys. Ciao. Welcome back. What the fuck? There's always one person. Welcome back to the Evolve podcast with Brendan and Rhiannon. Today, if you're wanting to invest your money right now, right here, we got the man for you. We got Kosta Zahar on the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. No, round two.
Round
Yeah.
two.
I'm keen for round two.
We've done like 4 round 2s already.
That's all right.
It happens.
We'll survive. We've
survive.
refined
We'll
it,
get better for
hopefully.
next time, all right,
Yeah.
Yeah,
guys?
exactly.
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah, sure.
Now, Kosta, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do because you've got a big run sheet and we're all ears for it.
Yeah, so I've been working in financial services for a few years now. I've been working on both the financial advice side and in mortgage broking a little bit. My main job, I guess, is financial advice. So working as an advisor, and then I look after operations at my firm. So we pretty much tell people what to do with their money, assist them during that process, help guide them through all the finicky things around investing your money, managing your wealth. On the lending side, we've just opened up a lending business. So we pretty much help people get finance, whether they're buying a car, investment property, house, etc.
And this is your business, like you're going into business with someone.
So we've got myself and 2 other partners
Okay.
in the finance business.
How did that all come about?
It was an interesting one. It's funny. It goes back to so I had been working in financial advice for a few years, and we had a lending arm of that business as well. And I left my job, I don't know, probably about 2 years ago, a year and a half, and I took 3 months off, and then I started with my new firm. And it's funny, when I was looking for the next place to go, I wanted to take it slowly, try and find the right place, a place that I actually had good quality advisors, a good team, did good work, somewhere that I could stay for a while. And the interview that I went to for this current job, I thought there's no way I'm taking this job because it's in North Sydney. I didn't want to go to North Sydney every
That's
day.
a trek.
I know. I only went to the interview because I felt guilty because I had told the recruiter that I had gone to a different interview in North Sydney. So when he gave me this one, I was like, oh shit, I did not want to go to this thing.
You dug your own grave there.
Literally. And I go, you know what? I feel guilty, so I'm going to go.
Yeah.
But I go, there's no way I'm taking this job.
Yeah.
I'm just going
You knew straight away.
this is a networking opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm not taking this job. And then I got there
Yeah.
and I started speaking to Neelan, who's the owner of that business and then the partner in the other business. And he was just a great guy. We completely got along.
Wow.
Went through all this stuff. And it's funny, in my job interview, I was saying, you guys should really open up a lending business. And he goes, yeah, we've thought about it before. It's not a bad shout. And we literally, since then, we'd continued to discuss it. And then we had been working closely with some really good brokers. And we partnered with them and opened up this new arm of the business.
Wow.
There we go. So you were an instrumental part in their growth right now.
Yeah, I guess so. It feels like a weird thing.
Just brush the dust off the shoulder.
You know what? Usually when you go for interviews and stuff, the job or the managers or the staff there would be interviewing you. But it seems like the way you just spoke is you were interviewing them.
Well,
to suss out if there was actually a job for you.
a little bit, to be honest. Like I guess so. So I'd gone and interviewed with like just under 10 different firms.
Wow.
And a lot of them kind of offered me the job because I'd worked in a pretty intense position beforehand. But I was thinking, like, these guys are just shit. Like, you can just tell from like the quality. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, when it comes to advice, if you have a conversation to an advisor about the type of work that they're doing, the type of clients they're helping, what strategies they're using, for someone who's in the industry and knows, you can tell pretty quickly if someone's good or not very impressive at their job. And a lot of the people I met with, I go, okay, I'm not going to be happy.
You could tell straight away.
Yeah, I just thought like it's going to be like unstimulating, I guess. So
That's actually a really good quality of yours, though. The fact that you went out there and you're like, I'd rather not have a job than to get a job that you actually want to work at.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. That wasn't my first response when because everything got a bit messy with my old job and I kind of got pushed out one day out of nowhere. And when that happened, my first response, because I was talking to quite a few people in the industry at that point, and I got hooked up with like a bunch of interviews straight away with some pretty big firms and like pretty senior people in those firms. And I was excited for that. I was like, okay, perfect. lost my job. 3 days later, I'm like looking for new jobs, going for interviews, going for coffees. I was like perfect, getting like a solution straight away. And I remember one of the guys who was helping me out and hooking me up with interviews turns around and is like, this is just for you to have a conversation. Like, don't just take a job because someone offers it to you. I was like, all right. And then I said, okay, well, I'm not going to accept any of these offers because it's too soon. And then I waited for 3 months and then I started looking again properly. But yeah, my natural response, it went well. Like it went well, but I think if I didn't receive that advice, I probably would have just taken the first
whatever
offer.
you got.
Yeah.
Which is what most people do though. That's the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a teaching moment for people watching this podcast, right? That, you shouldn't just get a job just because you've been offered it. Sometimes it's better to just wait for an opportunity where you actually see long-term growth with it.
I think when there's like a big change in life, it's good to take a step back from like your first instinct, your first response, because like people in general don't like change. So when there is a change, the natural response is, okay, I've lost my job. Let me find a new job, Band-Aid solution, not too much change. Let's keep things similar.
Very true.
Yeah. So that was literally what I felt at the time. I was like, okay, well, I need to get back to work. Let's find something straight away. And then I got that advice and I was like, okay, well, took a bit of a step back, thought about it. I want to stay somewhere long term.
Yep.
That's probably not going to be the first place that offers me a job. So then I just, had a bit of a break and found the right place.
And I'm sure that 3 months wasn't you just kicking your feet up and just relaxing. You're actually there looking for jobs, going for interviews and...
So I was going to interviews.
Were you at the beach?
I was at the beach quite a bit. That was like, that was the most consistent that I've been like with the gym as well. That was great. I was literally waking up every day. I'd like make myself a protein shake, go to the gym, train, go back home, go for a swim, lay on the beach for a few hours, then just...
You had your own
Because you had that
routine.
time.
Yeah, well, it was a great routine. It was good. It was like 3 months of just relaxation.
Yeah.
But still going to interviews and stuff, still like keeping up to date with things, but it was definitely a nice break.
Yeah.
You probably needed it though in that transition period.
Yeah, probably. Like at the beginning I would have said, no, I'm fine, I'll just go. But definitely looking back, it was good to have a break.
And for people that don't know what a financial advisor is, explain in your definition what a financial advisor is.
Yeah, I'd say it's in my definition, I'd say
Yeah, Kosta Zahar's definition.
I got to think now.
Don't dig too big a hole.
No, I'd say it's you know what, I think people have coaches for different elements of life.
Yep.
And essentially a financial advisor is someone who knows how to handle money, knows how to manage money, understands the different strategies that you can utilize, because there's a lot of different complexities around taxes, property, investing, all these different elements that are difficult to navigate. So we know those elements, but where I think the skill actually comes in and more of the coaching element comes in is every person's individual. Their needs, their wants, their stresses, the different complexities, the variables are just so different. So what our job is to match up the best strategies for an individual's needs. And the tough part is that a lot of the time what someone says they want is not actually what they want. So there's a lot of, I guess, emotional intelligence involved, where we've actually got to kind of read between the lines, understand what's driving this person. When they say they're stressed about this, that's probably not the root cause. What's the root cause? And how are we going to distill that and actually solve for that so they can genuinely feel happy? I mean, our goal is to use our skill set to match it up with a client to help them achieve their goals and reduce their stresses so they can live a better life and focus on their family, their careers, their giving back to community, whatever it is they want to do. That's what we do.
It's actually a good quality. And in relation to PT and whatnot, people will come to us and say, I want to lose 10 kilos.
Yeah.
You help them lose that 10 kilos and sometimes they're not actually really happy.
Yeah.
So that actually wasn't their actual reason why they wanted to achieve that.
Yeah, exactly.
And you found the same thing just in the financial planning side of things.
Yeah, exactly. Like from the PT sense, I'm assuming like they might come to you and say, I want to lose 10 kilos, 20 kilos, whatever it is. But really they want to be happy when they look in the mirror.
Yep.
Yes.
So
That's the deeper meaning.
That's the actual deeper reason
why
why.
they made the inquiry.
exactly.
And for you, it's like maybe more freedom to go on one holiday a year with their family.
Oh,
not
yeah.
to make $1 million a year.
Yeah, people come to us, they say, oh, I want to earn passive income and buy 3 investment properties. It's like, no, you don't. You just want to make sure that you've got 10 grand of like surplus cash flow every month, for example, and that you know your investments are on track. You're going to be able to retire by age 55 or whatever you want. And you can take your family on 2 nice holidays a year.
Yep.
Yes,
You got all that,
exactly.
you're happy. That might not be via 3 investment properties. It could
might be via
anything
one.
else. Yeah, it might be via one, might be via shares, might be via family trust, whatever it is.
Or Bitcoin.
Yeah, you might. And you know what? Funnily enough, for a lot of people, they're actually already capable of doing those things.
Yeah.
But they don't understand the long-term numbers, so they restrict themselves in the short term,
And
even though
just
they're going to
thinking,
achieve their
for
long-term
investment
goals.
properties, that's all I need.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they've been told on Instagram by some guru that you need to have properties.
Yeah, exactly. And they just push for something that's not, I don't know, calibrated for them.
Very similar aspect to PT. Like just the way you've explained it in your definition is how we would explain like people coming to us for PT. What's your goal?
It's coaching.
Yeah. Like the goal is so much deeper than a goal.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's a blanket goal. What's underneath that blanket that actually is the stemming reason to why you want to lose that weight.
Exactly.
And
It's like
why
an
you want
ogre.
to, it's like layers. Like an
Yeah,
onion
yeah.
has layers. And in the core of the fucking onion, there's the real reason. But every onion has its layers. So
So how do you go about peeling those layers for your clients?
You know what? There's only so many layers that we can peel back. Like a lot of the time, when I first meet with a client, we have something called like a discovery session, which is where we understand everything about them, those goals, what's keeping them up at night, etc. Also their finances. And I told them at the beginning, this is going to be a relatively intense conversation. I know that you came in here thinking that you're talking about money. That'll be a part of it. But we're going to ask a lot of leading and deep questions that you may not realize you're uncomfortable talking about. So I always just say, if I push too far, then just turn around and tell me to shut up. But otherwise, like, we're just going to keep going through these questions and just ask them those deep questions. A lot of it is just about like, you know, have you heard before, like, if you're trying to get information out of someone, like, just be silent and they'll feel the need to like fill the gap in the space, start talking.
Yeah.
I'll just do that half the time. I go, that doesn't sound like your goal. What is it really? They go, no, it is.
okay.
I just stare at them.
And then they crumble.
Yeah. So,
Silence speaks a lot.
that's the thing. I
does.
just need to remember, like, we're here to almost diagnose them.
Yeah.
So when naturally, like, I'm dealing with a client, I want to have it a smooth, kind of healthy, well-balanced, friendly conversation.
Yeah.
I just need to remember to be like, hang on, no, don't make this too comfortable
Yeah,
for them.
yeah.
Otherwise, we're not going to get what we need to do our job.
100%.
And it's very common in therapy, actually. Because in therapy, all therapists are really good at is asking questions that get you talking about your problems.
Exactly.
And they're coaches in their field.
And it's interesting, and I'm sure you guys would see this as well, like the amount of people who come to you for PT work and you go, okay, hang on a minute. And once you've like really like dug deep and you understand what's actually making them come to you, and it might be a lack of confidence in themselves, for example, you go, okay, there's only so much that I'm equipped to handle with. Like, you can assist them to look better, try and make them feel more confident that way, but if that doesn't work, then they've got to seek help elsewhere. And that's something that we find quite often. People will come to us, say, my life's fucked. If you just fix this stuff and make me feel comfortable with my problem solved. And then we fix it. Everything should be better, but they're still unhappy. And
Because there was something else that,
it's something
that
else.
wasn't diagnosed in your consultation.
Yeah, or like it's something that we just, while we can see what it is, we don't have the skill set to help with it. I mean, we've been working with a life coach quite a bit and referring clients over to the life coach because we go, okay,
That's good, actually.
yeah, like we've helped them up to a point and we can make their lives better in that area. But
Financially.
Yeah,
but
financially.
then they need other aspects of their life to improve as
they
well.
might have had some trauma in childhood or some problems that they might have current problems with their family dynamics or their work, or they might feel like no one respects them, whatever it is. Then we send them to the life coach and he helps out and helps diagnose and get them to move past. And at the end of the day, they feel better.
There we go.
There was something that we brought up with we had someone on named George, and we were talking about the definition between, or the differences between, a coach and a trainer, or a financial advisor and a financial coach.
Yeah.
Do you find that there's a big difference between those two in your industry?
It's
a tough one.
It's a tough one because it's like technically like financial advisors are like it's like a formal term that's like legislated. So there's a lot of things that I can and cannot do. Like this, for example, and we had this conversation last time, I just can't tell you guys, go do this with your money because it needs to be personal advice. I need to understand X, Y, Z.
Correct.
There's a lot of legislation that governs what we do. The reason that's an interesting
That's
question
why
is
you did
because
a
it's
discovery call.
yeah, exactly. But the reason that's an interesting question is because there's also people who are referred to as financial coaches who don't have as strict legislation applied to them as what we have.
Right. Okay.
So I guess like in terms of like the concept of a financial coach, yeah, I'd say
The reason
we
the reason I ask is because the way that you explain the definition of what a financial advisor is sounds more like a coach
in our industry.
like a coach in our industry. So there's a personal trainer which is
Yeah.
us essentially. But then there's also coaches who have a little bit of a deeper reason as to why they want to be a coach or why they've become a coach. And they dig deeper than just making them do 10 push-ups and 10 sit-ups. The reason behind them doing 10 push-ups and 10 sit-ups is because they've dug to the deeper reason as to why they want to hit that 10. That 10 is because they want to achieve 20.
Yeah.
And we've dug deeper than just that blanket goal.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked that question of like the financial advisor.
So in a way, when we were talking with George, he was saying that a PT or what you see as a general PT in a gym, whatever it is, you have coaches in gyms, but the way we explain what a PT is someone that creates a program. Let's say they just create a program, and that program is basically repeated for every single client they have.
Okay.
So I just say it as do this program, and everyone kind of follows the same thing. But then a coach will do exactly what you said, do a discovery call and personalize everything to that specific person for their actual reason why. So they won't just see a 10 kilo weight loss goal and be like, all right, here's your program. They're actually going to be like, why do you want to lose 10 kilos?
Yeah, they'll have that underlying.
Which is the deeper questions you ask your clients.
Yeah, I guess a good way to put it in terms of like linking it to what we do, there's like different phases of what we do, and it sounds like the trainer is like the implementation phase. Like this is the plan, we're doing it, let's move forward.
Yes.
Whereas the coach is, okay, let's develop the right plan and then we go implement it. Instead of just
Perfectly
X, Y, Z.
Yep.
You know, interesting.
Being a financial advisor, you probably had a lot of your friends as you were going into the industry being like, what do I do with my money?
Yeah.
I want to invest in housing. I want to invest in XRP. I want to do this. I want to do that.
Bitcoin.
Consistent. At what point did you realize that you had this, not talent, but you had this love for what you did through helping people and being a business owner and all that stuff?
Yeah, I'd say it actually started surprisingly early. I mean, I first got into finance because I was doing commerce at uni, and I chose finance as a major because I thought it looks like not a bad job. Didn't really know much about it, and then I started working financial advice, and I thought, okay, like I had no idea what it was going into it. I was just told like, oh, there's a job in wealth management, blah blah blah.
It's like a niche, isn't it?
Yeah, it is quite a niche, to be honest. Yeah, and I just started there, and I go, okay, well, it might be interesting. We'll see how it goes. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. And I always thought like, wouldn't mind getting into finance. You can make good money. I don't hate working with numbers. So I was like, yeah, why not? And started the job at the beginning, just a new job, first like professional job. So I was like, okay, this is exciting. But then when I probably about 6 months to a year in, I started dealing with more. I started doing more client facing work. So I was an associate, and I'd sit in with an advisor and meet a client, and seeing the reactions from clients when you present a strategy to them. And like, there's literally people who are turning around just going, oh my God, like I can't believe we never thought we'd be able to achieve this in our lives. Like we're so excited for the future. And hearing people say that to you is like such a rewarding feeling for someone to be like someone who like you met them 2 months ago and they're like depressed. They think their life's over. And they turn around, oh my God, we're so excited for the future. Like our family's so excited to move forward. I'm like, okay, that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's a massive
So that's what kicked you off.
Yeah, and I didn't expect to have that feeling. Like, not to sound like a shit cunt, but I didn't think like I'd be like excited about warm and fuzzy. I thought a job was just to make money, and you'll see.
Yeah, 100%.
And then when I started when people were like giving us that kind of feedback, I was like, okay, this is good. I like it.
This is what I want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like that's when you know that you're doing the right thing, is when you get that warm and fuzzy feeling, even when you're not used to it.
It sounds fruity, but
I love being warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, let's just rebrand to passionate.
Yeah, there we go.
that's all. Well, that's why we're PTs, right? Because we're out there helping
warm
people.
and fuzzy.
Yeah, I get warm and fuzzy.
No, passionate.
Passion.
Refresh. What are some common mistakes that people make with managing their money that you've seen?
Yeah, I'd say one of the biggest ones is probably like analysis paralysis, like people who go, oh my God, this is so hard. I need to find the perfect thing to do.
Yep.
And then they just freeze. They go, oh my God, there's this option, this option, this option. They don't even know how to quantify each option. And then they do nothing because they're more worried about making a mistake than actually actioning something.
So just do it, is your advice.
Pretty like, do not anything, but yeah. Yeah, like
Just do the thing.
do a bit of research, but like get something like 80% of the way there and start small, and you'll notice if it's wrong.
Yeah.
Like if you've got let's say for someone who's like our age, if someone's got, I don't know, 30 grand saved up and they go, okay, I want to start investing money.
Yep.
You don't whack the whole 30 grand in there. You wouldn't even put 20 in there. You'd start with like 2 grand and put it into something that you've done a bit of research into, something simple that makes sense and you feel is right for you. And the second you've got money in there, you're going to be more incentivized to keep up to it. You're going to start learning more because you've got skin in the game. So it's pretty, I'd say just don't worry about making the perfect investment portfolio to invest your money in. Just start small with something that's logical, makes sense 80% of the way there, and you'll learn as you go.
Yeah, because I feel like people aim for perfection in every part of their life, right?
Yeah.
And when you aim for perfection, you end up doing nothing.
Yeah, it can be like a disincentive. You're like scared. You've set the bar too high and you're scared of like not achieving the goal. So then you'd rather just do nothing.
Like aiming for the $1 million property when they should just start with, stocks.
Yeah, exactly.
build up.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's funny. My my first degree that I started was actually a commerce and psychology degree.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was doing a double degree, which I didn't continue because I started working in advice, and then I go, okay, I'm not going to waste time.
Stick to
I know what I want
finance.
to do now. Yeah, but honestly, it was really interesting. I liked it, the psych side, but there was a big bias that we learnt about, which I'm now forgetting the name of, but pretty much it's like the bias where you don't want to have the responsibility of making a mistake on your own shoulders.
Okay.
Essentially what the bias explains is like you are more comfortable having no action at all than actioning something and making the wrong decision. So a lot of people
And that's so common in every part of their life.
it's crazy. Like people are scared out of just taking a step in something that is highly likely to be the right direction, but they don't want to even risk being wrong because we're all risk averse naturally. So let's just sit on our hands and do nothing, and then I can't feel bad.
Look at us doing this podcast. That was our risk.
Yeah.
But we did 20 hours of it prior to it to know whether it was the right move for us.
And that's basically what you said before. Get 80% in.
Exactly.
And you'll know if you like it or not. And that was us. Get 20 episodes. We know if we liked it or not, and we liked it, so we continued.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a great concept. You can apply it to so many things, I guess.
Yeah.
Or going up to that girl
Yeah.
that you see on the street. Yeah. Instead of being scared to do it, just do it.
Yeah.
Because then you'll know the answer.
Exactly.
Sip of water. The sip was like, exactly. You should have winked at the camera. Exactly what I thought.
Spot on.
Now, when people think of financial advice, they always think accountant. I know we spoke about this last time.
Yep.
And I remember you saying one thing and still sticking in my head. Accountants, backwards. Financial advisors, forwards.
Pretty much like, the accountants, they look backwards. There's only so much they can do. They're looking at what's happened in the past and how can we make those numbers look. Whereas
Like your past year's tax return.
Exactly. And they can help. And that's the other part that we got onto, that in the present, both can have value in different ways. But like, if you want to plan for the future, that's not really what an accountant does.
They can pull some stats and be like, hey, this is your previous year. This is what you can work on to make your current situation a little bit better.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
that's current, like your present.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said.
Yeah, exactly. There's not a lot of like, so for example, what we do, a part of our onboarding process is we like financially model out someone's essentially their trajectory for the next like 30, 40, 50, sometimes up to 100 years.
Wow.
So we'll
100
say,
years.
Yeah.
Well, you're speaking
So
to
like
1 year old?
generational.
Yeah, exactly.
I do that.
Like the model goes that far, essentially.
Yeah.
But like they'll
Invest everything you get for your birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a 1-year-old, bro.
Yeah, buy property at
Don't get toys. Don't get toys.
Save up.
God. You know all those like reels what was I doing back in like 2000?
Yeah. No more bluey toys. No more bluey toys.
Invest in stocks, XRP.
You just sit the kid in front of the TV watching XRP
Bitcoin.
stocks.
Yeah,
my
Bitcoin
God.
Just watching like
2014.
live price.
What I'm learning, you have to learn.
So when you say 100 years, it's to do with like your family, right?
Generational wealth.
Just the model will point that far, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like this
Okay.
is just numbers on a page, basically.
Yes,
and
yeah.
we can make the numbers go for that long. But
Okay.
But like, essentially we model that, like whatever, we usually model up to age 100 for most people.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is they'll come to us, they'll say, this is my situation now, this is what I want to achieve, that whole discovery process. And what I'll do is I'll model out, okay, if you just kept doing what you were doing today, this is where you're going to be in, let's say by some key ages, I'll usually flag, let's say age 50, age 60 when they want to retire, and then maybe age 80 when they live their life as they wanted to in retirement. So it might be traveling 5 times a year, whatever they want.
5 times a year, that's a lot.
Yeah, some people want holidays are a big
Yeah.
goal, a big goal. But
Do you get that often?
Yeah, definitely.
The casual Europe trips every few months, or
Yeah, usually it'll be like a big Europe trip every year, and then like Japan, Thailand, Maldives, places like that in between, like for the content. But
all the content.
yeah,
We'll have a chat after this. I want to go to Japan soon, so might have to.
so good.
Might
I
need
want to
to-
go back.
Oh, you've been already?
I've been already.
What do you think?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it.
I want to go, bro.
I want to try go and work there for like 3 months.
That'd be
Oh,
sick.
wow.
Like that would be mad.
Why did you like Japan
Well, he
so
has an
much?
opportunity.
I know.
It was something about like, you know what? Like the
Because
first
it's
of all,
really popular at the moment. Like I've seen it everywhere.
I think it's like you feel so immersed in their culture, and
Big
like,
time.
and it's actually such a really good culture. Like you go there, everyone's so respectful, so friendly.
It's such a clean country.
place,
Yeah.
and like because of that, like that just translates to I guess the results. Like
And how
the
you feel
food
and
is
everything.
amazing. Like it's so good.
Oh,
so
stop, bro.
fresh.
You're making me
Like,
jealous.
All I can think
Everything
of
just
is
looks
sushi,
nice.
but it's so much more detailed over there.
So like so all the boys like take the piss out of me because I love like Japanese barbecue.
Yeah.
Like, it's my favorite food.
Like
Yeah.
a kami.
Yeah.
Akami.
Akami's a bit more mixed. You know, like when you go to like
It's like modernized Japanese.
Akami's like Japanese restaurant.
Yeah.
Whereas like you know when you go like Korean barbecue, you go
Yeah.
there cook there's Japanese barbecue, which is basically the same thing, but like the meat I'd say is probably slightly a better quality, in my opinion.
Oh, what are you saying about the Koreans?
Yeah, I know. Shots fired. No, it's so nice though. Like it's so good. So
Yeah.
we went to Japan. We were there for I don't know 16 days, and
That's enough. That's all you need, eh?
that was mad.
Yeah.
That was good. But like every night, I'm like, let's get Japanese barbecue.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. We're eating something else. That's all you want to eat. But it was so good. Like the food there, I was blown away.
For someone saving up for a holiday or something like that, what would be a good bit of advice that you would give them to save up and also be working at the same time?
I'd say, like in terms of there's everyone's method of saving is
It's
different.
different.
I'd say a simple way to do it is just have a separate bank account for your
Yep.
holiday savings. So if you struggle to manage it all together, then consider a separate bank account. If you can manage it all together well, and you've planned how much you're going to spend on holiday that those years, that makes sense. But I'd say the biggest thing is to not underestimate the amount of money that you're going to spend while you're on holiday.
Yeah.
Don't under or overestimate?
Don't underestimate.
A lot of people underestimate.
Underestimate. Yeah.
They go, okay, like we got our flights and accommodation, that's $3,000, and then we'll spend like $1,000 while we're there. It's like, hang on,
No.
probably not going to happen. Like, how long are you going for? What country are you going
You're
to?
going out to dinners, you're doing
Yeah.
activities.
You're a
it
bit
all
more
adds up.
frugal with your money when you're on holidays as well.
Or not even
I think that's
necessarily
pretty
be frugal.
impossible to
But
be frugal when you're on holidays.
I'd
I think I
say,
used the wrong word then.
I'd say, don't be frugal, but accurately predict how much you're going to spend.
Yeah.
Don't get back and be like, fuck, I spent an extra $3,000. Now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
It's
okay.
like, hang on, do a bit of research before you go and work out how much you're actually going to spend.
Yeah.
And like, it's different for everyone. If it's someone who's like doing pretty well, they're making good money, they're saving well, it's probably not as important to be like exact on the numbers. But if it's someone who is paying
Struggling
a lot of
financially
attention,
sort of thing.
yeah, exactly. If a holiday is a big priority and it's something that you're making sacrifices in other areas for, then essentially that translates, like in my head, to there's more risk associated with that holiday. That person is putting themselves in a more like precarious situation because they're going to be depleting buffers, etc. You don't want to then go on that holiday and then come back and have fuck all money left because you told yourself it'll be cheaper, so you don't feel guilty about going. Like, just be
And just get
transparent.
sushi instead of Japanese barbecue.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't back that point.
I wanted to touch on a little bit further back. So I'm being an accountant now. So we're going back.
Oh, you're thinking backwards now.
I'm thinking backwards.
Shit.
You mentioned you mentioned how there was that 3-month period that you gave yourself
Yeah.
to rest, recover, still do interviews and stuff like that. But you managed to focus on yourself for that 3 months.
Yep.
How was that period compared to being in a business and running it? And
It's a good question. It's a different type of enjoyment, I'd say. Like I genuinely really enjoy what I do for work. Literally, when I first got here, I was telling the boys like, I've had a crazy day. Like I've been jumping between I've been on calls all morning.
Yeah.
In the car, I was on like 3 calls back to back. Got out here, got off, sending emails.
Another call as well.
Yeah. I've got 2 scheduled in for afterwards, separate to the meetings that I've got in my calendar
Lovely.
already. But I don't know. For me personally, I love that. I love like being busy. There's like an adrenaline rush that's associated with it. So And you know what? It's not like that all the time. There's going to be like over the weekend, I relaxed. On Friday afternoon, I got through a lot of work and I just took the afternoon to relax.
Yep.
So you have balance still. It's not like it's that adrenaline rush 24/7, but I do. Yeah, it's a different type of enjoyment. There's one thing just relaxing on a beach all day, and there's another thing like, I guess, actually, you know what? One thing is I'd say I didn't feel as fulfilled when I wasn't working.
Okay.
Like while I was enjoying just doing nothing for a little bit, I didn't feel as fulfilled. And I think that's one reason why I was very, very dedicated to the gym at that point, even though obviously I had more time because I wasn't working.
Yeah.
But if I didn't go to the gym one of those days, I'd feel like shit. I'd be like, oh,
Because you just switched your work purpose for personal development purpose.
yeah,
anyway.
exactly. It was like, I don't know. I think I want to feel
Like you're actually achieving something.
yeah. There's a word for it. Like I've said it to like friends so many times that I'm forgetting it. Like
It's fulfilled.
fulfilled, but also like productive.
Yeah.
Like if I haven't worked for a day, but I've gone to the gym and I've eaten healthy and I've had some food and I've
And
relaxed
you've
on the
ticked
beach.
off boxes.
I've done some stuff that can make me feel productive and content at the end of the day. But if I've just sat down inside all day, watched Netflix, and
You'd feel like shit.
nah, yeah,
There was a podcast that Chris Williamson did with this guy named Dwayne,
Yeah.
and he's been behind the what would you call it? Yeah, I know. He's been behind the curtain for the past 50 years, and he's only now coming out talking about his experiences and what he's been through. And he spoke about days where he was down in the dumps or couldn't
just quickly, what do you mean by behind the curtain?
like he just wasn't out on social media.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. It was just very
Oh,
like,
just a normal person.
just
no
a normal
social
regular
media.
person
Okay,
that
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
on
yeah.
social media, ran a whole
I thought you meant like someone who like didn't leave their house.
Behind the curtain, full closed.
When you said, and then doing all this stuff, I was like, so he was doing nothing.
sorry. I should have
50
explained
years of
myself.
doing nothing. So you took 3 months off. This guy took 50 years off.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
I do
He was doing interviews
apologize.
the whole time. He's just waiting for the right job to pounce.
yeah, exactly.
50 years later, I jumped on a podcast.
Analysis paralysis.
Oh, it happens. But anyway, he was talking about. Oh my god, I've lost where I was going with that.
Behind the curtain, 50 years. That didn't help.
That didn't help at all.
So his name's Dwayne.
Yeah, his
Chris
name's
Williamson
Dwayne.
podcast.
What were you talking about before?
Shit.
Analysis
Oh,
paralysis.
feeling productive at the end of every day.
Yes, he was saying that there was days where he had the idea of having a plan and having a set plan. Why are you looking at me like that?
No, I'm
There was
listening.
a day that he had that was set, and it just didn't work out for him. But he still did things that made him feel good at the end of the day to make his day fulfilled or feel productive.
Yeah.
And that's why I resonated with that story. That's why I got to where we were.
I back that
Yeah.
completely. Like sometimes you set yourself a little bit more, you don't get it all, but you might do other things along the way.
Yeah.
You feel good.
There we go. And when you run a business, like we run a business, you run a business yourself, I feel like I would smash out a full day's work. I did a lot of things. I'll finish that day and still feel like I didn't do enough.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that as
Yeah,
well?
yeah, there's always like something else.
There's always something else that you can do. And that's a problem with a business because you're the one that's creating work, right? So you can finish a day and still be thinking, oh, I still didn't finish that last thing.
You know
I can
what?
still do extra.
You know what it is? It's like almost goes back to that whole like account it backwards, advisor forwards thing. Like,
It's a good analogy.
yeah, like most people, whether you have a business, you're an employee, whatever, there's always going to be backwards work and you can get through your backwards work. But I think that when you own a business, you're a little bit more focused on that forwards looking work. So like I know, for example, like I just had a meeting with our lending team this morning, went through, we got an update on everything, everyone knows what they're doing and we move on. But right now, tonight, I'm going to go back home and build like a referral flyer or like a little cheat sheet to give to like some of our referral partners so they've got information on the new business. That's not a necessity. We're still going to get through the work. Things are still going to happen. But
And
it's
you
that
can do that
forward
tomorrow
looking.
if you wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. But it's that like, except for the fact I've been telling myself that for a week now. So let's see what happens. But no, it's that whole like forward looking element of, while yes, I've technically done all the backwards work, there's always something new that you can come up with. So
Yes.
you never really reach the top of the mountain.
Yeah, no. And that's a beautiful thing about a business.
Yeah.
But then the day, like even if you're just an employee as well, there is still stuff that you can do that can further your career in a way. And one thing that I realized from you in our last podcast was you were working for someone as an employee, but you were still doing stuff that was out of your scope in a way, in terms of trying to do extra, trying to take on more responsibilities. And I feel like that's really the reason why you are in the position that you're in right now, because people notice that.
Yeah, I guess so. It's I think I enjoy like taking on responsibility, and especially when the responsibility is at work and directly, like a big part of my job was operations. So I'd look after our team and I'd look after our processes and try and find ways to make things work better. So there's naturally responsibility that comes along with that. But I don't know, it's the whole process of trying to find efficiency and improve things is exciting. It's another forwards looking thing, I guess.
Another forwards thing.
But it's but I don't know, that's a part of my job that I really enjoyed. And so I'd kind of sit there, and even when I didn't own any businesses, I'd still enjoyed that part of my work. So
And you became the operations man. And I remember when you were going for a job, you actually said to him, like, I don't just want to be a financial advisor.
Oh, yeah.
You want to be an operations guy as well. And they were like, we hire people just for that, and we hire people just for financial advice.
Yeah, I know.
How did that conversation go?
it's funny. One of the first interviews I did was actually with the CEO of a really big advisory firm that's got.
So he was an operations guy.
She
And you're like, I'm going to take your job.
Yeah, exactly. To her position.
Coming for your job.
No, it's funny. I got introduced to one of the partners in their Sydney office, and the CEO, she was from Melbourne, and we got into a call, and it was a really interesting conversation. But and she pretty much said to me, like, what do you want to do? And I explained, I said, I really like the advisory path, so I want to go down that path, but I also love the operations and I want to do that. She goes, oh, well, you're going to struggle to do that at bigger firms. Like, people are going to want to segment you. She goes, we're not offering jobs for both. She goes, you can pick one, but not both. And I was like, oh, okay. I'll keep looking.
See ya.
She goes,
off.
good luck with it. Let me know how it goes. And like, handled it really well. It was
Yeah.
a very, very good conversation. It was good advice too, because a lot of people are like, oh, no, it's got to
It
be
is
one or
true,
the other.
though. It is true.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Like, there's a switching cost when you change between different types of work. Like, if I'm all in on the advice side, then I'm completely across technical, blah, blah, blah. Naturally, if I go to the operation side, then I'm probably compromising a little bit on the other side.
Yes.
So I acknowledge that that's a risk now, but I think
well, that is a big thing, and it's not just in that field, right? Because
whatever you do,
if you go all in on one skill, you're going to become very good at that skill.
Hmm.
If you start focusing on two different skills, you're not going to be perfect at either one.
I agree. But you know what? The other argument to be made is that I think they can inform like advancements in each side. Like, for example, when I'm working on operations and I'm looking at building efficiencies into things every day, there's certain processes that I'll adopt in the business.
From that to put into your financial
Exactly,
planning
that
as
can
well.
work in the financial advice side. So, like, for
Wow, there we
example,
go.
like a client was saying, oh, I'm not sure how I manage my money. Not from a perspective of where it's going, where's it investing, but literally like as simple as which bank accounts does it flow between? I'm not sure how to do it. So then I just built her like a flow diagram process thing, and then set up automatic transfers. And that's not doesn't fall under a traditional financial advice. A normal advisor would not do that. But it's almost like I had a mental mind map of how to structure it from the work that I'd done on the operations side, because that's all about the structure, flow, automation, etc.
Well, there we go. Because we actually spoke to someone recently on the podcast. Her episode came out last week, Sophie Curtin, who was an elite athlete of two different sports at once.
No way.
So she was an elite athlete for the West Tigers,
Yeah.
women's NRL team.
Yeah.
And she was performing at very high level internationally for Muay Thai.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
So at the same time, so she was actually competing in those two sports. And to me, I didn't understand that, because if you're competing very high level in NRL, how are you going to be good at Muay Thai?
you're thinking like
right?
you've got to go all in.
You have to go all in if you want to perform at that high level, but she was able to. And that tells me that there is a way to still perform in multiple arenas if you're smart about it.
Yeah. No, I back it. That makes sense.
But you can't create time.
You can't create time. That's the other thing. There's a cost somewhere. There usually will be.
For someone watching this, they hear what a financial advisor is, they listen to what you're saying, and they go, wow, I need to speak to a financial advisor. What would you suggest for someone to look out for when they're looking at getting a financial advisor
Well,
for
come to
themselves?
Kosta.
Yeah.
It's
In your external opinion, away
Yeah.
from your job.
yeah. I'd
Just
say
drop your website.
yeah.
Kostas
Jump on our website.
Yeah, just look at Bridge Private Wealth. No, it's I'd say you can usually get a feeling of.
Is it more
Actually,
about the
no,
person that you speak to?
I'd say you get a feeling of confidence in someone, but don't have like false confidence. And what I mean by that is you meet with some advisors and they will tell you, they'll start fucking throwing out all this like confusing terminology to make themselves sound really smart. And you might sit there and go, fuck, this guy knows a lot and I know fuck all.
Yeah.
I should probably go with him because he knows everything. That means nothing. Like anyone can come up with hard words to say that an average person won't understand. I'd say a very, very important skill, and 95% of the time, whatever, if someone can do this, then they've usually got a good level of knowledge, is the ability to bring up a complex concept and explain it in really simple and plain English to a client. That's half the job.
So making them understand at their level.
Yeah, exactly. Being able to say, okay, we're going to go do this really complex thing with like your investment strategy, or we're going to apply these different concepts to or we're going to restructure assets and use family trusts and super funds, and we've got to be aware of these rules. But don't just start saying like, oh, Div 293 is going to trigger and now we've got extra tax if you listen to me. No, just explain it, but really refine it down into simple, plain English. And if someone can do that, they've usually got a very good understanding of the concepts if they can explain it simply instead of just relying on like buzzwords within financial advice.
100%.
And it also means that they've got a good amount of emotional intelligence, which I think is very important in the advisory process.
Yeah, because if you can't explain it to a 2-year-old, I really feel like you actually don't understand it at all.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing. I'd say that's the biggest tip.
That was like when we started our social media journey with Dynamic, we had to explain the terminology down to what a 2 to 5-year-old would be able to understand, because some people would hear us talking about the gastrocnemius and not know what it is.
I don't know what that is.
It's a calf.
It's the calf.
Oh, okay.
Well, there we go. Yeah.
Thank you.
The calf, the back of your leg. Simplifying like that to people to make them understand what.
Yeah, because it's stupid to say gastrocnemius because it's not really a common thing that people just know.
It's like you guys saying big words that people wouldn't understand as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that C3 thing you just said.
Div 293.
I even forgot it already.
Was there any like financial books that really started it for you? Did you read? Was there anything like that, or did you learn everything through uni?
I didn't learn much through uni. I don't know. You learn a little bit. You learn some basic concepts, but I
you learn how to study at uni.
Yeah, pretty much. And I hate study, so that doesn't help.
Well, research.
Yeah,
I feel like what you gain from uni is more the skills behind in that field, but like behind the wraps.
You know what it is? It's that, and it's also like it sets a bit of like the scene. Like uni at the beginning is so broad that you start learning about all these things that are not directly related to your job, but sit on the periphery. So then when you get to work, and like for example, I don't know. I remember hearing something about
it shows you the environment in a way. Like what colleagues you're essentially going to start working with is your peers.
And you also understand like where you're situated within a broader environment. Like, I don't know, for example, I remember something coming up at work about AusTrack. And the only reason I'd heard of that before is because I learned it at uni that AusTrack looks at financial transactions and reports them between like different government bodies. And they essentially try and like look for people who are committing fraud. Otherwise, it would have been like, what the fuck is AusTrack? And it's so not that it's directly related to my job, but it would have saved like learning that in uni saves me from spending half an hour researching AusTrack and researching if it's important because it came up as like one word in a text at work.
Yeah.
So shit like that.
Where can people find you?
So I've got a Instagram account for myself, which is Wealth with Kosta. We've got our financial advice business, which is Bridge Private Wealth, and we've got our lending business, which is Centurion Capital Advisors.
Jeez.
Wow.
The rap sheet of this guy, man.
I know. Are you going to create your own website as well?
Yeah, I haven't thought about it, to be honest. I don't know.
I reckon. Kosta Zahar, financial advisor.
Just anything money.
Yeah.
Anythingmoney.com, right?
That's a good name, actually.
Cool.
Oh, thank you, bro.
No,
Appreciate
cheers.
it.
Thanks, boys.
Cheers,
Appreciate
Kosta.
it.
Thank you guys for listening to this week's episode of the Evolve Podcast.
Brendan and I have loved having you throughout this whole podcast. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And if friends are interested, share it around.
Yeah, make sure you share and tag us on your Instagram posts, and I'll see you soon.
See you guys. Little boogie to finish.